Alright, welcome to part 5 of the flag project. So we finished our pyramid, we actually textured it and or added materials and finished the modeling. So I'm going to turn off that layer. And then today we're going to focus on the ground plane. So you can see here I have two planes. I have, this is the one I did with modeling and adding a texture map. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this in this tutorial. We're going to go over both aspects of it, but you can see that some of the geometry is being pushed up, and then there's also a texture map applied to this material. So we're going to create this in just a sec here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the other layer and turn off both the ground plane and the flag here. So we have this flat plane. Again, it's about 134 for the scale in the X, Y, and Z, and then if we went into the inputs, it was 400 by 400, I believe. Looks like the history has been deleted here, but it was 400 by 400. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do some sculpting on here. So we need that geometry, the 400 by 400 subdivisions, in order to do the sculpting tools. So if you click on the sculpting shelf and double click on the first one here, you can open up the options under the tool settings here. The main thing we're going to go down to is the stamp area. So we're going to click on stamp here and we're going to import a stamp. Now the stamps we're going to be importing, there's this great site, it's called a Tangram Height Mapper, and this is like a real world map that I can actually zoom in a particular area, so where there's mountains. And so if I want to move over in here, just zoom in like this. It'll take a little while, but it'll slowly update. And what I'll do is I'll pause while it's updating here. There we go. So now what we can do is we can essentially export out this map. So we just click on the export. It's based on the real world map, and it will basically export as a PNG. So I'll click on show in folder here. Here it is, this file. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my source images folder in my file here. Let's see here. We got flag project, source images, and I'm going to drag this height map into here. So this is the one we just created. And so we'll switch back to Maya here. And so now I can click on the import button, which will lead me directly to the source images. And so I can select any of these, and I'll start off with this one that I just downloaded, just to see what it's like. Click open. And so to change the brush size here, all you gotta do is drag the little slider here in the tool settings, or you can hold down the B key with the middle mouse button and drag left to right to change the size of the brush. If you want to change the strength value, it's this slider here. Also, it's the M key, and again, if you drag up or down with the middle mouse button, you can increase or decrease the strength here. So let's see what 15 is like. Again, I'm just clicking with my mouse, and I'm just literally clicking on here. You can start to see that texture being applied in here, and as I keep adding more, it'll slowly start to build it up. And so you can try out different height maps too, like that one is kind of cool, but I can click in here and import and try a different one, like this one I was using before. And now I can just click on here and drag up some geometry. So what you want to do is have a couple areas where I'll reduce the size a little bit and just have like this mountain kind of cresping up the geometry here. And so this is the idea here, is you just kind of explore, sculpting up some geometry. Now you definitely want to save your file a couple of times before you do this, because it does sometimes it does lag and sometimes it does want to crash. Let's try another height map here. Let's try this one. And each one has a different kind of effect in terms of geometry, but and again, if I want it to be more subtle, I can reduce that strength here, and as I click in here, it's just a little more subtle as I click on it. But you can see all that detail that's been in there. It's kind of nice. And then if you really want to finish this off when you're done here, you can smooth it out. So I'm going to click on the top arrow to click out. This might slow down on some computers, so some computers you might not be able to do this, but you can hit the number 3 key to smooth out the file, and it will ask give us this warning and basically saying that you might run out of memory. So just click yes, and then it will lag for a moment or two, and then it should calculate and smooth it out. Now, if you have a really slow kind of computer, you're probably not going to want to add smoothing to it, but mine's pretty fast, and this looks pretty good for the texture. So now I'm going to actually apply a material to this. You can see if I click out, all it is geometry kind of pushed up using a height map. But now we want to actually add a texture to this. And textures, if you go to textures.com, this is the one I want to apply. It's the Rockcliffe Snow 2, which I downloaded the different maps. I'll show you the different maps. The medium for the albedo, and then the roughness medium, and the normal map medium here. And again, you can log in and download, I think it's 12 different textures or a day from that site, so which is kind of nice. But to apply this, all we got to do is select it and then right click on it and go down to assign new material. Then I'm going to choose the Arnold Shader AI Standard Surface. We've done this before. In here we could rename this, so I'll call this Land 2. And then in here, what we're going to do is in the color node here, we're going to click on the little checkerboard, click on the file, then we're going to click on the folder icon here. And I actually have this saved in its own folder here, so it's a little faster to select. But here's the albedo. I'm going to open that up into the color node. You can start to see the color texture being applied here. Now this is the full texture, but again, if I want to multiply it, I can click on the place node here and multiply this. At the most I would do is maybe 2 in the UNV. If you go more than that, you're going to start to repeat a lot. But it actually didn't look bad with just the 1, so I'm going to bring it back to the 1 for all of these. Sometimes with a low res texture, it just will kind of soften everything up. This actually looks pretty decent though with the 1. And so now to get to the other textures, what you can do is you can navigate through these little arrows, but I prefer just to click on the hypershade, and then let's clear my graph here by clicking this little icon. And I name this texture, I called it Land 2. So I'm going to click on Land 2 and then graph the network there. And then I just like to click on the node here. It's just faster. And actually I could do it from the hypershade here even. So you can see here you got the same representation of the color there. Here's the roughness. So I can click on the roughness value here. Click on File. And then click on the folder icon here. And here's my roughness texture. Click Open. Then click on this, the land node again, and then scroll down to geometry, and then click on the bump map, click on the little checkerboard, click on file again, and then this time change it to bump again to tangent space normals. Once you do this a lot of times, it becomes really fast. Just understand that I understand that people aren't going to be super fast with this in the beginning. And then so here's the bump node, here's the file node, and so you have to click on the little folder icon for that file node. So that's all I did is click on the file here, click on the folder here, and then find my normal map, which is this one here, and click Open. And now they're all connected up. So if I click on this, I've got the bump map. You can tell by a little arrow there it's been connected, the roughness has been connected, and the color has been connected. And so if we minimize this, you can start to see we got some cool bump texture being applied. There is less specular quality, so that's the roughness map, and then of course the color map is on there, and it looks pretty good. So in the next tutorial we'll start covering the process of developing the flag. But this concludes this tutorial. Until next time, see you soon in Autodesk Maya.